Parents who deliberately starve children of love face jail under new Cinderella law. Parents who starve their children of love and affection face prosecution under a Cinderella law, the Telegraph can disclose. Changes to the child neglect laws will make emotional cruelty a crime for the first time alongside physical or sexual abuse. The government will introduce the change in the Queen's speech in early June to enforce the protection of children's emotional, social, behavioural well-being. Parents found guilty under the law change could face up to 10 years in prison, the maximum term in child neglect cases. So, on the face of this, every child that went to boarding school or is currently at boarding school should have their parents locked up because their parents are obviously starving them of love. Let's face it, these kids at boarding school are probably going to go on to become our future MPs, so let's get these future self-serving, expense-abusing wankers out the system now. Let's get them into child services. Let's get them hooked on prescription drugs. Let's get them into the elite's pedo dungeons. Because when they do become MPs, having been unloved all their lives and having to wear short trousers every day, even in winter, they are going to take it out on you and us in the future when they get their chance. Just look at William Hague. Perfect example. But genuinely, who decides if a child is starved of love? Who watches the watchers? We know the elite want kids in their pedo dungeons. Is this just a new, easier way of them to get them? Take my kids, for example. When they've been naughty and rather unpleasant, they get things taken away from them. If they persist in their naughtiness, then close your ears, all you lefty lovies out there, because you're not gonna like this. But if they persist with their naughtiness, they get a smack, but only if it's deserved. Who decides if they deserve it? I do, as their parent. So, imagine one of these child stealers ask my child, having just been smacked for repeated non-good behaviour, if they feel loved. They're probably not going to answer favourably. I used to get smacked when I was naughty, and I grew up alright, says he, the man behind the mask, altering his voice. Well, I think I grew up alright anyway. All my friends got smacked as a child, and they grew up alright. Remember, only a few weeks ago, that buffoon Boris Johnson said a similar thing. He said, take kids away from people for their political views. We've already had foster kids removed from a couple because they support UKIP. This is a very slippery slope we're on. This article goes on to say, the new offence would make it a crime to do anything that deliberately harmed a child's physical, intellectual, emotional, social, or behavioural development. Okay, so the government all but force harmful vaccines on kids, which damages them mentally, physically and emotionally. The government makes parents have to work 2 jobs and threw a load of them on benefits, which damages them emotionally, physically and socially. The government closed libraries, swimming pools and other services in the name of austerity, intellectually, emotionally and socially damaging kids. And the government insists on drugging any child that is bored at school because school is so fucking boring. You get the picture. I think that's enough reason to arrest the government and give them all at least 10 years, if not have them flogged or hung.